Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Optimism. This is going to be a higher time frame video, and then we'll also have a lower time frame video up above. So check that out if you are more interested in this shorter term moves. Okay, so let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about here is we do not have a lot of price history. We only have price history here from June 2022, so we need to just be aware that there is a little bit of a limit as to how effective the Elliott wave can be here because we don't have all the information. Now, if we are looking at this move as having a low in place over here, which would mean that our invalidation would be at the 0396, what we could potentially be looking for is the idea of having a corrective structure to the upside here as a bigger A, B, and a C. Now, 121 would actually look to put us up here towards this $7.43. Some higher targets that we could achieve here would be this 1236 at this $12.25. We have the 1382 at the $16.69, and this 1618 up here, which would be looking at this 2751 as a rare target for a C wave. Now, if we are looking at this structure in this way, effectively what we'd be saying is that we've been looking for this as a B wave. Now, the B wave could potentially be completed into this low, because we did come down into the 0.618. Now, the problem that I have with this is that the way we would have to count this would be something along these lines, where this would be an ABC here for a wave. We get this as a B, and then we get a C, or otherwise W, X, and Y. So the problem is, if we are looking at it in that way, then effectively the second half of this move, it was really short compared to the first half. So we can't rule out the idea we could still see continuation down. So our key support zone here is still going to be between this zone of this $1.14 to this 53 cent. Now, if we start to lose 53 cent, this makes it less likely that we're going to see that continuation to the upside here, and we could have a more bearish scenario playing out. So if this corrective structure is not completed, what we could be looking for is a couple of things here. So we could say that this is actually a completed A wave here. We're looking for a B wave, and then we're going to see a C wave to the downside. Now, we did come down close towards this 1-to-1 target here if we are looking at this as a Y wave. But what we need to be on the lookout for here is, there is potential here that this could still be incomplete. And what I mean by that is that we could still see something along these lines where this Y wave is still looking to play out, and this is just A, B, C. So if we fail to break back above this high here of this $1.87, we need to just be on the lookout for that possibility of getting a 5-wave move to the downside, which would potentially look to take us towards a zone of this 786 at this 91 cent to the zone of this 78 cent at this 1-to-1. Now, if we are looking at the idea that this is rather completed into this zone, what we could have is a few other things playing out. Now, there is also a way of counting this as a 5-wave structure to the downside, where what we would be saying here is that we could look at this in 2 ways. So off of this high here, we could argue this is 1, this is a wave 2, this is all a wave 3, we've got a 4th, and we're looking for this 5th. Now, targets for this would be down here towards this 77 cent to the 67 cent. Invalidation of this comes by crossing above this $1.76. Now, there is also the potential we could count this 1212. So within that way of counting it, effectively the same idea would be here, that we're looking for 5 waves down, except our invalidation would be much higher up here towards this $2 area. Now, the key thing that I want to see here is that if this is actually taking place as a 4th wave, we've now achieved 2 times the length of the wave 2 in time. So it would be important for us to start to see a reaction to the downside here for a 5th. The maximum I'd like to get is 4 times. So effectively, we could still potentially mess around in this area a little bit. But what I would be rather looking for is the possibility that this 5th wave is going to be looking to start off pretty soon. Now, we don't have much indication of that if this is the case, but what we'd be looking for would be a 5th wave down to the 77 to the 61.7 area, and then we would be looking for that possibility of an additional 4th and a 5th here, looking to target out this lower range here of this 62 cent to this 51 cent. So the thing is, if we have a 5-wave structure like this to the downside, we'd have to be careful. We could potentially start arguing something like a flat correction here, but we'd have to just be careful that we don't get 3 waves up and then get continuation to the downside, because we don't have all the data here. If this is the end of a much bigger completed higher degree structure, we could still see that idea of coming back down and challenging some of these lower levels and even breaking these lower levels. So we always need to be open to that interpretation, because we don't have all the facts here. Now, if we are looking at this as a completed move, like I said, where we've got an A wave over here, there's a couple of ways we could look at this move to the upside. Now, if we are looking at this still in a corrective wave where we're still looking to move up into this 272 to this 171 area, possibly what we could have here is that this move could still be playing out as something like a WXY. Now, if I come in here, what we'd be looking for within this is effectively what we could be looking for here is this is a 3-wave move, this is a 3-wave move, and looking for this to develop as a 3-wave move to the upside. Now, our 1-to-1 of this W wave would be up here at this $1.84. Now, what I'm looking for is the potential here within this structure that we could actually have this as A, B, and C, and we look to break down and look to test out this white support box that we have lower down here. So this is going to be our key zone if we look to break down. If we're looking for that short-term push to the upside where we're looking for this C wave, we need to find support again here between this 141 and this 119. Once we start to lose this 119, it becomes less likely that we're going to see this continuation. Now, depending on how long this takes, potentially this 786 could align with coming back into this channel. What I would want to see here, if this is going to be something like a double zigzag here, I'd like to see this stay within this channel. So potentially we could see price come back down into the channel and then still see a 5-wave move to the upside. Now, if we did see something along these lines where we come into the 0.618, what we'd be looking for is this possible Y target would still be up here towards this 184. But if we do get a bit of extension here, the 1-to-1 of this as an ABC would actually be higher up here towards this $2.11. Though I would be keeping an eye on some of these highs here if we do get up into this level, because it could align with, coming back into some of these highs, looking to test some of these lows higher up here. The 1-to-1 would be interesting in that regard, as actually coming back into this possible resistance area at the higher side of it. Now, it is also possible that if we look at this move slightly different, we could just say this is ABC. It's done enough that it could be completed into this high. So if we start to see a bigger sideways structure developing here, potentially we could still look to find support in this zone of this 130 to this $1.02. So if we do see a 3-wave move to the downside like this, we could just see a bigger corrective structure forming. Now, this would still fall into the idea of coming back and having a look at retesting some of these higher levels here where this is a B wave to the upside. So this is what we need to be on the lookout for here if we are looking for that bearish continuation to the downside. Any kind of 3-wave structure up here would mean that we are going to potentially see that continuation to the downside and could even look to push down as deep as this 0.54 as a C wave within this count. Now, the only way we can look at this as bullish from this point here is we would have to be saying that we were starting to get some diagonals from the beginning here. Now, the one way that we can look at it is that we are still very early days in the formation of this as a diagonal, where this is 1, 2, and what we're looking for is A, B, and C. So this would align the same with the idea of this being WXY. The difference would be within this count that we would be looking for a 3-wave move down, 5-wave move to the upside, then getting another 3-wave move down, and then another 3-wave move up. So this would just be looking for this move to continue after this point. If this is WXY, we should expect a deeper retracement after the point of getting the C wave up. Now, in validation of this idea of looking to expand here as a contracting diagonal, we would be this 184. If we move above this $1.84, this would mean that this move is invalidated because the wave 3 would have got longer than the wave 1, which would only be possible if this is going to become an expanding diagonal, but we would have to wait for more confirmation on something like that because they're not as common as the contracting variation. Now, if we do see something like this, effectively what we'd be looking for would be this as either an A, 3 waves down, looking to hold this low, and then seeing continuation back to the upside. So this is going to be one that we're going to have to just monitor and see how the structure actually starts to develop here. But effectively the same sort of idea would be looking for a 3-wave move down, 5-wave structure up, 3-wave move down, 3-wave move to the upside here, and then possibly looking for a retracement for a B wave or wave 2 and then continuation. Now, we could also look at this diagonal slightly different and say that actually what we have is this is 1, 2, this is A, B, and C. Even though it's not my favorite way of looking at this structure, we need to just be on the lookout because sometimes we can see these extensions within a C wave here, and it will just be a 3-wave move. So at the moment, I'm still looking at this possibility here that within the structure, this could just be A, B, C, even though it does look more like a 5-wave move. Now, the key thing here is what I'm looking for is that if we are completed into this low over here, and what we have is rather a diagonal that is contracting here. What we could be looking for is something more along these lines where our diagonal is still looking to push up here. Now the problem is we could potentially put it into this area here, which is fine. We would be still looking for that three-wave structure to the upside. So this is less confidence, but I'm just being on the lookout here that if we get a smaller three-wave move to the upside, where effectively what we get is this whole move as A, B, and C, moving up towards this zone here of this 169. This could align with the idea of getting this as a smaller diagonal pattern over here, where we look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to the upside. So effectively what we'd have here is this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, if we do see something along these lines where we do get this additional three-wave up, the way that we'd be looking for the support to come in would be a three-wave move to the downside, looking to hold this 123 to this 102. If we do manage to hold this level, then possibly what we could actually see here is looking for that continuation where this becomes A, B, and C if we're going to just get a corrective move. Alternatively, if we do move up past this 322, what this would mean is that we have a trending move here. We would have to wait for confirmation of the fourth wave, but effectively here what we'd be looking at then is that this whole move becomes 1, 2, 3. We'd be looking for support to come in around this $2.16 and then get an additional fifth wave to the upside. Now if we do see something along these lines here, this could then look to be pushing us up for that C wave, or alternatively, this could also become an A wave in itself. We get a B and then we get another C wave up, where this whole move then becomes a W, an X, and a Y instead to the upside. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that if we start to develop five-wave structure up here. There is potential here. It's not the greatest of structure yet, but if we do continue to hold this area here of this 89 cents, potentially we could start to see something like this develop to the upside, looking for this as a five-wave move, looking for that continuation. Before we end the video, I just want to talk about a couple of other things that I'm keeping an eye out here for. If we turn on the volume profile for this whole area, what we can see is that we do have our point of control lower down here towards this 91 cents. So if we do see that idea that we're going to see that additional push to the downside here, we'll be keeping an eye on this because this is aligning with this previous low. So possibly what we could see is something like a double bottom here. That would be for that idea of this is a three-wave move. Alternatively, if we do look to push down lower here, we also do have this value area low, which is sitting towards the 64 cents, which is also aligning with some of these lower zones over here. As well as that, if we do look at this as a corrective structure to the upside, going to be keeping an eye on this level up here of this value area high. This is obviously also aligning with this horizontal potential resistance that we could get to the upside here, in which case we could see that idea that we see something along these lines to the downside. So going to be keeping an eye on these levels. Potentially they could give us some indications of where we could see some rejection come in here. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you'll find a link to Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.